Ad accounts actually perform better when you touch them as little as you possibly can.
How many ad accounts do you think you've seen?
Easily over 1,000.
That's crazy.
Easily.
What's the creative strategy that you would use to get a ton of creative and increase Facebook results?
So I think from a creative style and creative structure perspective for a brand that size is that my all-time revenue was around $450,000 in my first 2 years. Anytime somebody followed me, I would message them and say, hey, what's your favorite color? They would come and say blue. And I would send them my 6 blue colored t-shirts that I had that I was selling out of my dorm room in high school. It's very difficult to get a return on your investment from a marketing agency because you have to then have $5,000 of incremental profit for you just to break even on their service. If you don't want to run your ads, that's okay. But what you should do is you should get an understanding of it to the point to where you can hold somebody else accountable. The moment that we unlocked that and we said, okay, if I spend this amount of money today at this return, this is how much profit I can drive, you're like, okay, that's a good outcome.
What's the biggest mistake that you see clients make? So I'm here with Jaden, who's our lead coach at Daily Mentor, wizard at Facebook ads, the best at Facebook ads that I know. What is the best part of your job?
So I came from the agency world. So the part that I got to work very closely with about 5 brands at a time. And a lot of my job was not necessarily the implementation, but doing a lot of convincing to the board and to whoever I was working with to start to run the strategies that we wanted to run. So it was not only just what was in the best interest of the business, it was how do we convince everybody else around it that this is actually what is good for them. And then we had to go and implement it, which created a large amount of differences as well. But when it comes to Daily Mentor, my favorite part about it and working directly with the brands is that they are coming in with their open minds of saying, I need help on this thing. And I know that you are going to be, I'm here and saying that you are the person who's going to be able to help me to do that. And in that mindset shift away from agency client to somebody who is looking to get coached, my ability to say, hey, I know this is what's going to work for you, and I think you should try this. It allows, and then they go and implement it, and you see the results very, very quickly. So the time feedback loop of working with the brands and then just seeing the immediate impact in the first 2 weeks of meeting somebody and how you can change their life that quickly, hands down favorite part.
What's the biggest mistake that you see clients make?
Overcomplication of ad account structure completely.
What do you think it's overcomplication of ad account or too little creative? Which is the biggest?
Well, I think every single ad account has too little creative. I think that's a different conversation. I think there's no such thing as too much creative. And if you have a too much creative problem, there's probably a structure problem in how we're actually testing it is the opinion there. But I think the overcomplication, it's not necessarily overcomplication, it's the shifting of this isn't working. And I think that it's not working because of the way that I'm structuring the account. And therefore, if it's not working for 2 days, I'm going to go restructure the account and try this other thing. But if you ask any media buyer that's been doing this for a long time, ad accounts actually perform better when you touch them as little as you possibly can. The only time that you should be making major changes is when you're uploading massive amounts of creative. But the overcomplication, I think, is just, okay, if it's not working and assuming that it's not working because of something that you did versus looking at the fundamentals of each funnel step as you go. Is it the fact that my cost per click was too high? Did my conversion rate drop? Was my AOV different? Is my CPA too high? Or is it really just a ROAS problem? Whatever it is, I think breaking it down into simple steps to actually be able to diagnose the problem versus just saying, oh, it's the structure is the thing. Because ROAS is made up of 3 different numbers. It's the cost of traffic, it's how much people are buying, which is the AOV, and then what they're converting at. It's one of those 3 is your problems.
Let's say you're a brand starting out on maybe at $50,000 revenue. What's the creative strategy that you would use to get a ton of creative and increase Facebook results?
So I think your AI course that you have talking about AI creative is a really big one. Now, not every single brand can use AI creative quite yet. I would say there's for about 85% of brands you can get is probably a good amount when you're at that stage. There is going to be some complications there. Again, if you have a more complicated product that AI just, like if you created something that's completely new.
Where the physics is unpredictable based on the LLM.
Yeah. So if that's the case and you have a little bit more of a complicated kind of structure, but I think people, even just going back to the overcomplication of the ad account, I think people overcomplicate creative. Like if you have that product in your house, you can go take a couple lifestyle shots in your house and go film that. Like that's a very simple thing for you to do. And I think we have this idea that we have to outsource all of the creative to everybody else to do it. And we have to get UGC and we have to get lifestyle shoots and we have to do all these things. But the creative that performs the best, and even our Daily Mentor ad account, it's like, was the thing that we shot in 20 seconds that nobody would have ever thought was going to work. So I think from a creative style and creative structure perspective for a brand that size is that simplify the process. It's about how much can we get the volume inside of the account that's also differentiated in a way to where we're not just testing a whole bunch of different variations, but that's AI creative and using any of the platforms that you've suggested, whether it's Hagesfield, whether it's Gemini, whether it's even ChatGPT for images, you can get it done even on their free plan, you can get it done. And then shooting content yourself and then just reaching out to other platforms as well.
So media buyers are very hard to find. They're very hard to hire. They're very in high demand. Why do you choose to work at Daily Mentor?
I don't think media buyers are hard to find. Good media buyers are hard to
That's
find.
true. That's true.
You can throw a rock and hit 15 of them. But yeah. I think my thing about Daily Mentor that I really, really enjoy about it is the connection that I can build with people and have the impact on their lives. And so I've been meeting with some members for over 2 years. And I get to sit there and I remember this conversation that I had 2 years ago with you where we were doing $30,000 in a month and now you're doing $600,000 a month and you're asking me, Jaden, I'm making more money than I ever have. What do I do? It's like, that's my favorite conversation to have.
It's amazing to see someone actually take your words and create something tangible in the world out of those words.
100%.
Something that's ethereal and not real and free creates value.
Yeah. And I'm a big, I thrive in situations where there's a lot of community and relationships that are involved with it to where they don't feel transactional. Yep. So our one-on-ones are 30 minutes, but there's times where I'll stay on for 45 minutes to an hour because we're just going through it and I know what I'm saying and I know what we're going through is going to be super valuable to this person. And that's the part for me where it's like, that is just passion for me trying to help people, not just because it's a job. And I think that's what Daily Mentor always has been for me. And then even just working with the team members as well at Daily Mentor that we have, they're the smartest people in the world.
The vibe.
It's just great.
Can you remember the first time you heard about Facebook ads?
Yes. So I was in high school. I was selling. So this is when I started my apparel brand when I was in high school. And my first $100,000 of sales was me on Instagram. So this is back when you could follow and unfollow people as much as you wanted. So that was the strategy was follow 500 people and then unfollow them and you would get the difference of the people that would follow you back. And anytime somebody followed me, I would message them and say, hey, appreciate the follow, love your content. What's your favorite color? They would come and say blue. And I would send them my 6 blue colored t-shirts that I had that I was selling out of my dorm room in high school. And then I had a bunch of friends that were in the space that were through my dad's connections. And because he was in the space doing like drop shipping stuff at the time. And there was one friend who was like, you're wasting so much time reaching out to people by yourself. You should try running Facebook ads. And I was like, what is that? And he's like, well, it's exactly what you're doing, but you're just paying Facebook to do it for you. And that was when I got introduced to it. This was back in like 2018. So this is like the heydays of what everything was able to do on Meta, where it was just like you plugged in money and it was like you got a 2-row ads. Like that was bad. So that was when I first got introduced to it. And then my business was able to blow up from there. But there's some bottlenecks that I was printing out of my dorm room. You can't do that when you're in high school all the time. You can't blow up a business that quickly. Yeah. But that's how I got into it.
Can you remember how many sales you got in that business?
I think my all-time revenue that I did was around $450,000 in my first 2 years. But what I stopped was I was making way more money running ads for other people than I was running my own business out of my room. Because I could do all this stuff part-time in between classes, during classes, because my high school was a sports high school, so we had some time to mess around.
Yeah. So was that the point that you decided that you were going to start running ads for other people?
Yeah. So when I started running them, a couple of people were reaching out to me because I was in a group of other e-commerce founders that were doing it in the same space, and I was getting on calls and asking questions about some of the things that I was actually having success with and like how do I make it better. And then people started reaching out to me saying, hey, see, you're having success. Would you be able to get on a call and help me out? And this was back when I was 19, 20 years old. This was right during COVID as well. And that was how I got into starting to run ads for other people. And then that all led to me wanting to be around people who are a lot smarter than me because I kind of outgrew the group, just like some people can do with Daily Mentor as well. And that was when that led me to joining another group, which was actually the former group of CTC or Common Thread Collective, which is where I ended up working. But they had a group called Admission, still do, and joined that. And that led to me being in there, learning as much as I possibly could from Taylor and the really smart people over there. And I reached out to the person who was running the community at the time, seeing if they were hiring. They said yes. And 2 weeks later, I was media buyer at CTC.
So you're kind of jumping around learning experiences until you ended up at Common Thread Collective. Can you describe Common Thread Collective for people that don't know?
Yeah. So Common Thread Collective went through a bunch of different transformations, but now this is what they've been for the while now. Is they're a growth agency based out of the US.
Yep. They're huge, right?
They're huge. So at the peak of time when I was there, they had about 150 employees.
Yeah, wow.
And that's now that has fluctuated up and down, but they work with some of the biggest names that you'll hear in the US, from Liquid Death, the 47 brand, Igloo Coolers, Travis Matthew, Native Deodorant, all brands that are doing, if you add them up, over a couple $1 billion.
It was a bit of a, like, if you got hired by Common Thread, you were kind of elite in the space.
100%. So I got super fortunate to where I was joining CTC in a very, very high growth period of time for their business. I was nowhere near qualified to have the job that I had when I first started, but I was in a place where knew that was the case, and I knew that I wanted to work as hard as I possibly could to be and earn my spot to be around those people. And yeah, spent about 2 years there, worked my way up from managing $20,000 of spend a month to managing a team of 5, working with brands doing there from $20 to $80 million a year.
Yeah. And how many ad accounts do you think you've seen in your life?
Easily over 1,000.
That's crazy.
Easily.
That's crazy. But I'm keen to chat about, like, how have you taught yourself Facebook ads over these years? Like, because we're obviously part of Daily Mentor, we serve this information on a silver platter. Is that the best way? And how have you taught yourself?
So I'm very fortunate that I've been constantly in an environment to where I have access to so many accounts on a very, very consistent basis. When I was at CTC, I had the accounts that I was running anywhere between 3 to 5, but I also had access to view any account that was at CTC as well, to go and learn from the people that were doing it on the bigger accounts, learn from people that were doing it on the smaller accounts. The fastest way to learn, and I get people all the time that are saying, like, oh, you're doing all these things with Daily Mentor and you're traveling all over the world. Like, how'd you get into Facebook ads? And it's a tricky question to answer, because the difficult answer is that you have to have somewhere to where you can actually apply it. Because if you're just going to go and you're going to watch it on YouTube and you're going to watch it on whatever, you can learn it and you can say, okay, I know how to build a campaign. I know where to put an ad set. I know how to build an ad. But until you have somewhere to actually apply it, all the rest of the logic and the actual mindset that goes into media buying is the difficult part, where you can only learn it through practice. You can get the mindsets and stuff can be there, but unless you have actual somewhere to apply it and get the actual experience of saying, okay, when this thing does this, or this ROAS is at this level, I need to go make this change or make this change.
We have so many, traditionally, like, older people within Daily Mentor, but there is definitely some younger people as well that say Facebook ads is too hard for me.
Yeah.
And then, just in my opinion, that's just not an option. Like, they need to learn it.
Yeah.
They can't, they have $10,000 in revenue a month. And it's just like, you can't pay $3,000 to a marketing agency.
No, it's very difficult to get a return on your investment from a marketing agency, because what people fail to understand is, if you're going to pay somebody, let's just use $5,000 for simple math, you have to then have $5,000 of incremental profit for you just to break even on their service. And what people fail to understand is that if you're not generating that much incremental difference between you running it and somebody else running it, there's that trade-off that you're actually paying, to where you're potentially losing money by hiring somebody in that case. To where, what is the difference between you running it and somebody else doing it? And I think the other thing about it too is that it's been overcomplicated in a way to make agencies viable in some situations as well. And I think what we do at Daily Mentor with how we teach people how to run accounts is super popular in how we do it, because we simplify it down to the fact to where this is how you set up a campaign. This is where the ad sets go. You upload new creative whenever you have it inside the ad account. Creative is the game that you're playing. We're not going to hack our way to making the money. Like, it's the days of hacks are gone.
It's so funny because we simplify it to our own detriment in terms of growing Daily Mentor. Like, we could say we have this crazy new funnel system that complicates it so much that inflates the return on ad spend in this certain campaign, but destroys the ad account overall.
Yeah.
and we would make more money from it. But
100%.
we genuinely believe in the simplified structure, not only from an optimal giving Facebook all of the freedom to operate, but also in you as a business owner being able to take control.
Yes. And it also will simplify your ability to wake up in the morning and feel like you have an understanding what's happening inside the ad account. Because there's so frequently times where somebody will go and look at what an agency is doing. They'll look at it and say, oh, this is really complicated. I will never be able to understand this. Therefore, I'm not going to learn it. I'm going to go pay somebody else to do it. And what we say is like, okay, yes, if you don't want to run your ads, that's okay. But what you should do is you should get an understanding of it to the point to where you can hold somebody else accountable. And what oftentimes is, how are you supposed to hold somebody accountable if you have no idea what they're doing? It's like the only job that I would say that somebody should hire that out and they should really never understand is when it comes to taxes. Go pay somebody else to do your taxes. But if you're going to have the biggest revenue driver in your business and you're not going to have an understanding of it, and it's constantly going to be this outsourced thing that you're just blindly putting faith in other people, that's never a good situation to put yourself in.
So run me through let's say a business is in that exact situation. They've got an agency, they've got this crazy complicated structure with these weird naming conventions, and they're like, I have no idea what they're doing. What does that founder do next?
So first one would be join Daily Mentor to get to get an audit of what you're doing to see if it actually makes sense. But we have a bunch of videos that go through it, and the most simple way to do it is we need to clean out all of the noise and look at what the fundamental drivers of what's actually happening inside the ad account. Is there looking at the ROAS? Are they running something like a 7-day click, 1-day view attribution setting to see if we should clean that down to 7-day click? And is your revenue profitable? There's your ROAS profitable? Like that's the first thing that we should be looking at, because if it's not profitable, then we have to make decisions a lot quicker. If it is profitable and it's like maybe they're not doing the best job at doing it, like we have more time to make the adjustments. But if we're lighting money on fire every single day, like we have to make changes very quickly. I think that the next step as well is my favorite question to ask people is how much are you paying your agency that's currently doing it? Because there's different levels of expectations that go along with somebody who's you're paying them $10,000 to manage your ad account versus you're paying them $1,500 to manage your ad account. Because there's also the time trade-off as well that goes with it. If you're paying somebody $1,500 a month, their expectation isn't that good because their game is volume. So they're going to have 20 clients that instead of having one agency that has two $10,000 clients. So if they're saving you some level of time when it comes to building the ads and managing the things and doing all of that, that's okay. But if we're in the 5,000 plus range, they need to be doing a good job and they need to be saving you time and generating profit on the contract that they have. So that's one of my bigger questions too that I like to ask people is around what they're paying, because it can give me the level of expectation I need to have to hold that person accountable to what they're doing.
What's the one business where you've seen Facebook ads just change their life?
There's lots of stories when that comes in case. I think my favorite situations are the ones where the brand owner is very, very, very good at understanding product and understanding branding and understanding positioning of what they've done. And they just need something to put gas on the fire of what they've already created. And they don't recognize that they have something that's really fantastic. So there's a brand that I think of every single time that I do this. They had around 70% gross margins. Their repeat rate goes in the 30 to 40% range. And they were spending about $10,000 a month on ads because they were nervous because they're in their minds that they needed their MER to be around a 7 or an 8 to be profitable. And the moment that you break down and tell them, okay, you're running at a 7 or 8, this is an inflated number that you don't need to be at because you're at a lower margin and you're not spending that much because you're having a ton of organic. The moment you start to walk them through what we have in our report card, which is the new customer contribution margin calculator, breaks down how much money you can make on a first order at X efficiency. So for this business, when you're running at 70% margins after everything, you can afford to run your business at like a 1.8 to 2.2 and still generate 15 to 20% contribution margin. So the moment that we unlocked that and we said, okay, if I spend this amount of money today at this return, this is how much profit I can drive, you're like, okay, that's a good outcome. The moment that we said, okay, this is now the target, we can spend as much money as we possibly can at this target, the business blew up completely. Because you change the fundamental understanding of the percentage profit to the number of profit of the dollar amount. And that's where the expansion really comes in.
Is there any other Daily Mentor stories that you can think of that kind of blow you away?
My favorite examples are brands that were working with an agency, and they had blind trust in the agency, for lack of a better term. And it's really in the apparel space that I think I see it the most, is that there's agencies typically run apparel accounts very similarly because they all function generally the same unless their product and category and imagery is different. But apparel and Daily Mentor is probably one of the more apparel and supplements in the like health, beauty care are the two most popular ones that I would say have the biggest lifts when it comes to them just taking over their ad account and running it themselves with a Daily Mentor structure. And it's because those accounts, you run them very simply because the product is the thing that is selling it, especially in apparel because it's such a visual thing. I see that collar shirt that you have on, I like it. How much does it cost? Okay, that price is affordable for me. I'll buy it. Whereas these other products, I use like the shower filter example all the time. It's like a shower filter is a tube of metal. You can't just show it an image of a tube of metal and sell it for $150. So I think in those categories, apparel and supplements, we see the biggest growth, and it just blows their minds to where they say, there's this really difficult thing that I thought was really complicated, and this agency was telling me that we had to do all these things. I watched the video. Okay, now I'm running it on the correct structure. I'm running it on 7-day click. I'm doing it all myself. I understand how it works, and I'm making more money than I ever have. And I don't have to rely on anybody else. Like, those are the wins that I love to see.
Can you describe what the first week or 2 weeks of Daily Mentor actually looks like?
Yeah, for sure. So the first call that you'll ever have inside of Daily Mentor is with your designated growth mentor. So if you are joining and you are doing inside of our DMPN, our Daily Mentor private network, you are joining and you are automatically getting assigned to a growth mentor based on time zones and availability and business size and what your category is. And you are, again, you automatically get assigned, and you will go and fill out what we call our report card, which is a series of tabs inside of a Google Sheet that is filling in all of the historical data for the last 90 days. That is going to help the growth mentor get a very rapid understanding of what your business is looking like and what the position that it's in, to be able to help us prescribe you, is what we like to say, which mentors and which areas of the business you need to focus on. So week number 1, hypothetically, you're filling out your report card as quickly as you possibly can in the first 24 to 48 hours of being onboarded. Then you're booking in your call with your growth mentors to be the first call, where you will meet with that growth mentor, talk about the struggles of the business, go through the report card. And now, having gone through probably over 150 to 200 report cards, I know exactly what I should be looking for based on the category of the business and where you should be focusing on. So if I come in and I see that your first order contribution margin or your first order profit is really low, we need to figure out if that's a COGS problem or if that's an acquisition problem. If it's an acquisition problem, next call is with me once again. We're going through the ad account together. If Google is lacking, we're going to send you over to the Google mentors. If we're not sending enough emails, we're going to send you over to the email mentor. And then we're going through those things to get the immediate quick wins in the first 3 to 4 weeks. And then we'll start to look at the next 60 to 90 days with our 30, 60, 90-day plan to figure out what are the bigger objectives that we have that aren't going to be quick wins, but ones that we can start to implement and focus on for the next 90 days.
Sounds good. I'm in. That was a good sell. Well, man, I love watching you work. Obviously, you're the first person that I come to when I need a Facebook ad account looked at. You're a wealth of knowledge. And yeah, I think we're lucky to have you at Daily Mentor, but also the mentees are lucky to have you. So I appreciate it.
It's been a blast.
If you liked today's episode, make sure you go click the link below and check out Daily Mentor.